Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching CTA and another episode of People You Ought to Know. And the person you ought to know is sitting right next to me, and we're speaking with a filmmaker, producer, Mr. Stan Fitzgerald.
Well, thank you, Claude, for having me on, and I appreciate your network giving us the opportunity to air the film.
Yes, so amazingly enough, Mr. Fitzgerald has been doing a lot of things in his life, but in a very strong conservative, and I can say a strong Trump supporter, but an observant. He made the observation of back last year of the border issue, which we've been talking about for quite a while, and worked on a film. And this is the poster of the film you see right here, called Border Invasion, an American Crisis. Well, many months ago, as he was working for this, it was a topic. But today, now that it's being released, it is the topic. So please tell us about, the journey of the making of your film.
Well, thank you, Claude. I think you hit it right on the head with Trump supporter. So I am the president of the grassroots organization Veterans for Trump. Tom Holman is actually on our board. Admiral Kubik is our national spokesman, and he built a significant portion of the border wall. So what motivated us to do this is one of our primary objectives is securing the border and supporting Donald Trump for his third win in a row. And that's how we ended up at the border with former ICE agent Victor Avila, who is a national hero. He was shot and left for dead by the Mexican cartel during his service to our country. And he led us on a tour of the border and showed us what was really going on.
And how long you started working in this film in October, but what was the process in raising the funds for it and editing and filming? What was that experience like?
So just to back up, I learned as a producer in a previous film called The Fall of Deceit, starring General Flynn and Laura Loomer, the process. And I saw that director put together a film in a few months, and I thought to myself, oh, I could do that. It's not that easy. No. It's a long, tedious process, and we had an excellent crew at War Room, Kate Branson and Drew Collins, who work for Jordan Chineth. And they do most of the television work for former Congressman Jody Heiss and current Congressman Andrew Clyde, so they're very experienced. And to be honest with you, they did most of the work, but even with my wife and I being directors, it was hours and hours and days of watching film and editing film and finding taglines, and money is an issue. You had to raise funds, and going out to the border is an expense, but overall it was a relatively inexpensive project that we hope will reach millions with the message of securing our border and promoting President Trump.
Well, I think the border issue is now number one on all of the polls. It's not, it used to be the economy, but I think the border is real. In Georgia, we know what happened recently for a young college student being attacked by a illegal immigrant, and it has become an important issue more and more in the cities, because that's where, especially the sanctuary cities, this is where they're ending up right away, and then the dollars being drained by most of these cities. What scares me is that in Georgia we don't know who to believe. We don't know why the governor is hiding information, or why there are immigrants at the airport that nobody knows about, or we're not supposed to know about. Thousands. It doesn't seem that we really are getting the right message. What you live in Georgia? What do you think is happening here?
Well, to your point, Debbie Dooley, who's a journalist and high-profile person on the Trump campaign at this time, did an expose over a year ago about illegals being bussed into Georgia, and it's been very secret. And then to your point about the airport, Senator Colton Moore went there and exposed proof of the inflow of the illegals being flown into Atlanta and everywhere else in the country. And what's going on in Atlanta is no different than what's going on in New York City, where Mayor Eric Adams came out and said, we need to end being a sanctuary city. We can't handle the crime, we can't handle the costs, and this is destroying our city. And in Atlanta, we're good at hiding those optics, and maybe it's not as high volume as the lefty cities, but they're infiltrating our city, they're infiltrating the Georgia area, and I think the plan from the left is a Marxist plan of destroying the country from within.
But we have a Republican governor. Do you think that this is something that didn't know about? That this happened on his watch and he has no idea?
Well, I'm not going to put words into Governor Kemp's mouth. We do want to see the presidential nominee get a strong election and support. But I would guess that the governor is aware of what's going on and taking actions to counter it.
Okay, well, we hope that.
We hope that, yes.
But so far, they are here. They have made it. If these buses are coming, they should know. I mean, the NSA knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that happens that, if you want to know about it, that you don't know. They know what you ate for breakfast yesterday,
right.
Because they're watching what you're doing, and what we're doing. So I think that it's very concerning because we hear about what's happening in California, we hear what's happening in New York and Chicago, and we say, that's on them, that's who they are. But we're here. It's happening here in a red state. I know that Fulton County is not red, but Fulton County is not Georgia, not all of Georgia. So it is an issue. I also feel that the latest words in the last few days has been coming out is there seems to be a coordinated effort among the immigrants so that the illegals to be able to stage things or to be able to be in a position to maybe infiltrate a lot of the cities and basically push the African American community out or to come in that route, because those are the areas that are usually voting Democratic. They're the ones that are getting a lot of the funding from the government. It's not just that they're here illegally, but now they're being offered free home loans in California. Mm-hmm. At what point do you think the public is going to stop this, or is going to wake up? I know that many on the left are starting to realize it, but is it too late?
No, I don't think it's too late. And to your point, they are definitely, we are facing an invasion that's orchestrated and organized, and people are being shipped across the country, not just to the lefty cities, but to Republican states as well. And they are working hard at infiltrating and taking over these free offers from the Biden administration, as you point out. But is it fixable? Yes, it is. By going and voting for President Trump in November, really all the country would need to do to fix this problem would be to finish the wall, to reinstate Remain in Mexico, to end catch and release, and to reinstate travel bans. We do that under President Trump, it stops the sinking ship. We're never going to correct the damage that's already done, and we're probably going to face a lot of crime waves that, because of defunding the police, I'm not sure how we're going to deal with. But President Trump will fix this ship and restore America to being great again.
Now, he's talked about massive deportation. We're talking about 5, 6, 7 million at least, because you're not going to be able to ship them all out. Many of them, in the meantime, will get married. They'll find some legal loophole to be able to stay. But trying to deport and trying to catch, now you have to catch them because you don't know where they are. You have no idea. They're going to catch and they're going to run and they're going to do and like you said, they're not going to be picked up. Many were from Venezuelan prisons. They're not going to be sent back to Venezuela,
Right.
because they're going to go to prison. It isn't just being sent back to your poor neighborhood, wherever you are. It's going back to the life of that you were freed to come, not to come back. So it's going to be very tough, and I think that it's going to be tough for Trump if he gets elected. It all seems that way. I know that he can fix it, and he will take it on, and he'll be accused of being a racist, and he'll be accused of being a monster for taking this young family with children, that are just coming here to eat, and he put them on a boat, on a plane back to Guatemala, where they came from. So he's going to be, he's going to have that label, which I don't think he wants. But he's not running again, cannot run again. This is his last 4 years, so he's not here to please, he's here to fix the problem. But he'll make a lot of people on the left unhappy, and they're going to use that, just like they did when they had these supposedly children in cages. Remember, there was these children in cages, and they were actually Obama.
Yeah, they were Obama policy.
Well, the Obama policy, but then it got labeled on Trump. And I think the left is being so good in media conversion and manipulation to turn this, what needs to be done, deportation, into a very negative, not just on Trump, but on anybody who's going to come from the right. So this could open up, again, I'm looking down the road, but this could kind of open up a way for a Democrat to come back after Trump, because he's going to have, the humanity. He's going to be making sure these people are not, because there'll be people that are going to be arrested, be deported. There'll be some that will be shot because they'll be fighting back. There'll be mayhem. There'll be negative images. There'll be all of that. It'll be put on the Republicans' table and say, "There's blood on your hands." No one talks about Biden's blood on his hands. So, and being that mainstream media, ABC, NBC, CBS, and I'm going to include Fox, and MSNBC and CNN and all of those, they're all part of the machine to get the wrong message out. Is that something that, do you agree with me that this is potentially a problem?
Well, sure. Basically, you explain in great detail the term fake news. And the left and some of our rhino establishment media outlets will work against the president as he's correcting the problem. But if you back up to what we talked about earlier, where Democrats have caught on, and they are flipping, for President Trump. We have some very high-profile Democrats, including actor Isaiah Washington, who recently came out based on our organization's work with him through our director, Chad Catton. And he's influenced hundreds of thousands of Democrats to vote for President Trump. So I think they see the border crisis as the red line with the administration that's currently in, because it's destroying America. And I think that when we go forward, I think that's a way to combat the fake news, is to focus these Democrats that flipped and get their voices on television, famous people like Isaiah Washington or others, and let them come out and remind people that, we voted against Biden because of the border crisis, so President Trump is doing the right thing.
Well, I think that Isaiah is one of the actors, but there are many more that seem to be on the fence, because I don't want to say the border, that same border. They're on the fence, and not really. Some of them are showing more and more. Mark Wahlberg showing his red side. We mentioned Mel Gibson and seeing what he has done, but they're still concerned about showing to be Trump supporters, because the industry will basically blackball them, and they'll be done. If you're still depending, those who have done really well financially, maybe even the Denzel Washington will not play along. But if Hollywood comes out, not all of Hollywood, but certain members of Hollywood, of the A-listers, you know, A and B listers come out and say, vote for Trump, I think that they'll take us over the line. But my next question, and again, it's not about, I understand that we're just talking about what could happen. We know the border issue is there. We know what, you explained what needs to be done. He was doing it. So it's not, he has to start over again, try to convince anybody. Mexico is going to play along because he talks about what he had to do.
That's right.
And make them to do it, and they will. And so the concern I have is that if the left are able to make this election be like in 2020, somehow, because there's still time, somehow, Biden steps down, they bring in Michelle Obama. I think Hillary is trying, but I don't think she has a shot. But or they still make somehow Biden win through whatever they have done. They used COVID. COVID is not an issue now, but who knows? It could be. It could be anything. If we go to war tomorrow because we're attacked, like a Pearl Harbor situation, which could be looking like it's Russia or China, but it could be our own people doing this just to. I put nothing past them. They will do anything, and they even, trying to kill Trump to me is an obvious step for them because nothing else is working. Getting him in jail only makes him sell more T-shirts. It doesn't make sense. Let's say they succeed and they try to say President Trump lost. What do you think will happen in this country at that moment?
Well, I'm certainly not going to encourage it, but if Trump loses to someone who doesn't know where he is and falls every time he goes up a set of stairs and doesn't campaign, I don't see how that people have faith in the election integrity of our elections. It's just not practical to believe that this man could win. And there was evidence that raised questions and a lot of votes in the last election, millions of votes. Whether or not you believe it, that's for research. But I think you're going to have a problem with an uprising like we saw at the Capitol. It's scary, and we strongly recommend people not to do that. We want to keep, President Trump clearly advocates for peaceful protests, nothing violent. But rigging elections, causes reactions to people.
Well, I foresee 1,000 trucks, truck drivers and their trucks surrounding, that whole Capitol area, and nothing goes in, nothing goes out. I mean, that's what I see. It may not be violent, but this is what they've done in Europe. They will take the trucks and they will, close all the highways down. You just take 4 or 5 semis and there's no way nobody's going to go anywhere. And most of the population will support it, which means there could be several weeks of total shutdown. There may not be an actual physical battle of, even though some people will be willing to go shoot, but that's not the point. But there needs to be that kind of, I think that that's what I foresee, because people are tired. When we knew something was wrong in 2020, they called us terrorists. It's not working anymore. So this is basically there's no answer to these questions. I'm sorry. Right. I know that but we are conservatives. We're concerned about the situation. We're optimistic because Trump is overcoming all the illegal lawsuits that they are doing with the only intention of election interference. Thank God, he's winning these, or at least it looks like they're not going to go anywhere. And even if they did, that's not going to change anybody's mind. Nobody believes that he's guilty of any of these lies. So it looks very promising that he will be there. The Supreme Court's not letting anybody removing his name from the ballots. All of that is a positive. We're not sure how far the legal system is going to go, but they've gone beyond what they could do legally. I'm thinking, like you, Trump is definitely going to be the winner. And then we know what he can do, but the left is never going to accept it. They're going to fight it. They're on a 60, 80-year plan of turning this nation communist.
Yeah.
And so a little hick, if we lose a couple of years, that's okay. They go back in the underground and continue to try to infiltrate the universities and everything else. So we have to have eyes wide open and go back and see what they've done, try to undo it. It's a lot of work ahead of us. I think I'm too old to fight this fight, but I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it on TV on my channel, and I'm going to watch you continue to make films about the messages. What is your next project? Because this is a big one.
Our next,
you got something else, I'm sure.
Our next project is actually in line with exactly what you just said. At Veterans for Trump, we are organizing our veterans and law enforcement across the country through building a coalition to step up and get the vote out. Cops and military people by nature are natural-born leaders. So at veteransfortrump.us, we have a sign-up sheet. In South Carolina, we worked that hand-in-hand with the Trump campaign. I'm not sure what's coming next, but we have received some communication from the campaign for an ongoing project related to that. We'll see what happens. But the cops and the veterans in this country are the perfect leaders to spread out and organize the vote, to rally the base and make sure we flood the polls so there is no chance of stealing the vote. We'll outnumber the fake votes with authentic votes and get the voters to the polls in November.
Well, from your mouth to God's ears, and I believe that if you're watching, you want to help. You're going to be able to see the documentary right after this interview. Right now, we're showing the interview prior to the launch. So tell us about your launch party, your grand premiere. That's what it's called, right? A premiere.
So the film is available for streaming on March 8th on Salem Now. I understand it's also going to be on the John Fredericks radio show platform for streaming download. March 9th is our premiere in Fayette County, Georgia, at the GOP headquarters. Nancy Holland and the crew in Fayette County were good enough to allow us to use the footage they owned of Marjorie Greene talking about the border from when she was there. So we incorporated that into the film, and that's why we're having the premiere there. And that is Saturday the 9th, and I understand your team is going to be there, and there's about 90 seats taken. So if you're watching this and you want to go, make sure you reach out to the Fayette County GOP because it's almost sold out.
Now, after the 9th, at what point can people actually buy the rights to watch this film? Because we really think that whether a CTA is able to show it, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to want to make sure that the producers get the support that they need, because a project like that does take money, and that kind of revenue can help. The revenue that we're hoping to generate can help them continue to make these kind of films. So when would the public be able to go online and pay to have access to watch it?
March 8th.
So March 8th, this interview is going to run several times. So it'll run before March 8th, but it'll run after March 8th because we repeat a lot of our programming. And then we're not going to tell you when exactly. They've allowed us to do a quick airing, but we're going to air it once because we want the viewers to see it. And the messaging is important. But we want to promote people to go out and spend the few dollars that it takes to be able to watch it and support. It's about support. And it's about getting the word out. Make sure that they are all up to date. Whether you're independent, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, make sure that you can vote in November. Work on getting your voting registration, everything correct. And let's make sure that we all go out in force. So films like this don't need to be made. We don't need to talk about the border anymore. We need to have Trump back to close the border, to get rid of the unwanted. I'm not going to say the illegals. I'm going to say the unwanted. The unwanted, because I'm an immigrant, but came through the regular process. Most people that have come here through the regular process, they are not happy with the fact that they spent a lot of money and effort to be able to be vetted and to be allowed to come here. And then you just open the border and let just anybody come in. So what happens from here depends on us, the viewers, the voters. We're doing what we have to do. I have this conservative station. Stan has his cameras and his documentaries, and we're working together to get our public in America to turn what has been a nightmare for the last almost 4 years, and hopefully we'll see the light.
Claude, well, thank you for having me on. And just to clarify, I think I was remiss in not pointing it out. Summer of this year, we will have VFAF, Veterans for Trump, the Movement. And that is a documentary that'll briefly cover the history going back to 2015, but more so focus on what the president is fighting for, and with a message from General Flynn and Admiral Kubik to motivate the base of veterans and law enforcement across this country to get the vote out. So it's going to be a campaign-style film. It's going to be very exciting, and you'll be able to see that this summer, and you could get the updates on this film, Border Invasion, An American Crisis, and also our forthcoming veterans film. Just sign up on veteransfortrump.us. That's veteransfortrump.us.
And how can they contact you if they need to reach out to you?
Through that website. You just hit contact and we'll get the message.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. Will you come back and talk about that film when it's time?
Of course. Well, thank you, Claude.
Thank you so much. And that is another person that you need to know.